13th month in the time of the Eternal, month 3, day 12, 2024. In dreams, I saw a woman who was suffering. She was happily pregnant, previously, and her husband was happy with her. But this one, due to the abuse of another woman who envied her and her constant harassment, had an abortion. And she felt extremely sad. When the harassing woman saw this, she exclaimed, "Now I will stay with her husband." The woman who had an abortion stayed closed in her pain and she couldn't find what to do. On the other hand, her husband, recognizing his wife's pain, wanted to console her, but this one, she couldn't be consoled. The other woman approached and offered fertile love to the husband, but he rejected her and continued struggling to console his sad wife. Months passed and that offered woman looked pregnant. And she accused the faithful man that the child she was expecting was his. The suffering woman heard the saying and her suffering increased to the point that she no longer wanted to see her husband. This man was a businessman, prosperous and very hard-working, and he sadly left his house to a distant place. But, despite the distance, he always sent someone to check on his wife. So, one day the wife received a visit from a messenger from the Eternal. She carried the word of truth, peace and love on her lips. And when she spoke to her, this suffering woman reacted, because this messenger spoke with justice. Thus, the suffering woman got up, washed, changed her clothes, and dressed beautifully to go after her husband. When he saw her walking down the road towards him, he ran towards her and hugged her, and carried her in her arms. They both cried with joy, and they spent a happy day together. While this was happening, I saw that the offered woman was showing off to many that she would now enjoy comfort and goods, since the child she was expecting was from a wealthy man. As she laughed with all her might, blood began to run down her legs and a strong pain took over her. Thus, desperate, she asked for help without receiving it. And she lost that child she was carrying, and also her hope of extortion. Then, faced with her misfortune, she declared that her plan was perfect, but since it was not possible to come to fruition, she would go somewhere else to do the same, accuse another wealthy person of her upcoming pregnancy, before the perverted life that she practiced. The man loyal to his wife knew her and she conceived again. And this time, far from that place, between hills and mountains, she went and had her baby. And everything that man had he gave for the happiness of his wife and his descendants. There he built a great fence around that vast place. He ensured abundant and crystalline waters, and bread was not lacking on his table. He brought servants to serve his wife and his offspring, for this grew and multiplied. And everyone saw and exclaimed, even with envy on their lips and even with an evil-intentioned heart, "Truly, this man loves his wife and his offspring exceedingly greatly. For, he has put a stronghold around them, and, who can get past it and plunder that place?" The scene changed. And I saw a wealthy man exhort his daughter on a good and prosperous path. She listened to him, but she had a hard time deciding and carrying it out. As time passed, where this daughter was, she decided to make her own path. She stumbled time after time, and no longer able to take it anymore, she decided to return to her father and put herself at his service. He welcomed him with open arms, but told her, "I can only help you if you accept the plan that I presented to you from the beginning. Nothing has changed, it's the same." The daughter accepted and her work began according to the plan. It was strong, troublesome, of much surrender of her own, putting herself at all moment for the plan. I saw her suffer, cry bitterly. Her nature resisted. But, as time passed, peace, happiness and love sprang from within her being, infecting everything in her path. And she was a light for many who ended up radiating the same light that she transmitted to them. The scene changed again. And I saw a woman who was in charge of bringing food to some workers. These workers were hard-working, and their work came first, until it was finished. I saw her take a transport, a bus, and ask how much the trip, to that place would cost. A woman who was there, also sitting on the bus, answered her, "It is 35 cents a ride." The woman who brought the food to the workers hurried to have the payment for said transportation on hand. The woman was happily carrying out her task when she noticed that the transport deviated from its route, and stopped, and the driver got out of the auto. She went after him and gave voice. This one immediately told her, "Pardon me, but I can't go that route that you want me to go. Just to here I reach. I never go by there." So she told him, "But this load of food is going there and it is heavy." But he told her, "I'm sorry. And, moreover, knowing that you are taking that load of food there, even more, I cannot go by that road." This load was too heavy for this woman and the woman could not continue on foot with it. No matter how much she insisted to the driver, he responded, "I will only take you for $666. She was amazed and said, "How?" "Not in any way. Continue on your way, I'll go on foot." She did so, and as she walked, she was lifted up and she quickly arrived at the place where she would take the food. And all who were there were satisfied. Oh, beloved brothers! God grant that we are able to understand what the Eternal wants to let us know in this hour. It is my request and prayer that this be so. May the Lord bless us.